Are you listening? Really listening? Can you feel that silence that hangs between the words? That presence that hovers in the air like an invisible veil, as if everything has stopped for a brief moment? That presence you don't see, but that makes your chest tighten. That makes your eyes burn even before the tear has time to fall. That's him. He is here. Do you feel it? The presence of the Holy Spirit. It doesn't arrive with a bang. It doesn't come shouting. It doesn't need to force its way in. It simply enters, like a whisper that carries the weight of everything you've ever hoped for, everything you couldn't say, everything you've held inside for so long. I'm not talking about a pretty idea. I'm not telling you a theory. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm saying, stop, just stop, and feel. How many times have you looked around and found no one? How many times have you smiled on the outside and screamed on the inside? How many times have you walked into a crowded room and still felt like you didn't belong? That you didn't belong to anyone? That you were just there to fulfill another role, another day, another effort? You know what I'm talking about. You know, the Holy Spirit is not a fleeting emotion. It's not a momentary relief. He is real. And when he enters, nothing remains the same. You're tired of trying to make it work on your own. You've tried to look okay while everything crumbled inside. You've prayed with faith, and you've prayed without believing anymore. You've tried to hide it from everyone, but you couldn't hide it from yourself. The weariness that weighs on your shoulders, the fear disguised as control, that feeling that everything is slipping away, even when everything seems to be in place. That's why I'm talking to you now, because there's something happening, not on the outside, in here, inside you, his presence. It doesn't demand anything you don't have. It doesn't ask for a performance or a made-up holiness. It doesn't require you to have strength or certainties. The only thing it asks for is space. Space. Can you give it? Because there are moments when all heaven needs is a yes, a whispered yes, a tired yes, a sincere yes. Do you have that yes? Do you feel your heart beating faster? Do you feel like you're on the edge of something you don't understand, but you know is real? That's him. The Holy Spirit is calling you to something that cannot be controlled, that cannot be explained, that cannot be predicted. He doesn't enter where there is resistance, but he remains where there is surrender. You've carried so much, and for so long, wounds that no one saw, thoughts that you didn't share, desires to disappear, to no longer have to endure this constant pressure to be strong, to pretend that everything is okay, but you don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to hold on alone anymore. The Holy Spirit didn't come to expose you. He came to restore you. He came to remind you that there is a place where you can still breathe, where you can still be just you, without the disguises, without the fears, without the weight of what others expect of you. Do you still remember the last time you truly cried? Not out of anger or frustration, but truly, from the inside, when the tears don't ask for permission, when they are not of pain, but of a presence that is greater than everything. That's what I'm talking about. Because when the Holy Spirit enters, he touches what no one else can reach. He enters where no word has access. He rearranges what is broken inside. He doesn't just comfort, he heals. He heals. And sometimes that healing begins with a breaking that you didn't even know you needed. When everything seems to be falling apart, that's where he's putting everything back together. With a touch only he can give. With a breath only he can give. Are you willing to open that hidden place inside you? That dark corner that you hid even from yourself? That trauma that was buried and that you even tried to forget? That disappointment that scratched your faith and that you didn't have the courage to confess? He wants to enter there, but you need to allow it. You need to stop running. You need to stop rationalizing what is spiritual. You need to stop trying to understand what can only be lived. The Holy Spirit doesn't need your logic. He needs your surrender. Are you willing? Are you willing to say, I don't know anymore. I don't have anything left, but I'm here? Because in that being here lies all the transformation. You were called for more, not to live a lukewarm faith, not to collect lifeless verses, not to frequent sacred places while carrying a desert inside. You were called to live a real communion with the Holy Spirit, with him. Not with rituals, not with obligations, with him. And when he enters, He doesn't just come to keep you company. He comes to revolutionize. He goes to the place of your childhood where the rejection began. He touches the silence of the early mornings that you cried alone. He visits the memories that still haunt you, even when everything seems peaceful. He reveals where the wound began, and he himself closes it. He himself. Because there is no therapist who can reach where he touches. There are no advices that replace his voice. There is no relief that is comparable to his presence. Do you understand? It's not about a feeling. It's about an indwelling. The Holy Spirit doesn't just want to visit you from time to time. He wants to dwell. But he only dwells where there is space. Are you willing to empty? Empty the noises, the controls, the fears, the disguises? Because the more you surrender, the more he fills. And the more he fills, the more you understand that you were never alone. His presence is not for those who think they are worthy. It's for those who recognize themselves as dependent. It's for those who have nowhere else to run. It's for those who say, I have nothing left, but I have this place. Come in. Can you say that now? You don't need to be sure. You don't need to be strong. You just need to have space. Because when he enters, he transforms even what you thought was dead. He resurrects faith. He restores hope. He restarts where everything seemed to have ended. Can you feel it? Something is changing inside you, without fanfare, without shouts, but with a force that you cannot resist. That presence is him, and he is here for you. And it's not because you deserve it. It's because he loves you so much, that he didn't give up, even when you gave up on yourself. Loves you so much, that he stayed at the door waiting, even when you locked yourself inside. Loves you so much, that he decided to dwell where no one else wanted to stay. Can you say yes? Because that yes can change everything. Everything. Not because you understood, but because you felt it. And now it's just you and him. Nothing else matters. Only him. Only him. Write in the comments. God is faithful. If you have already seen his promises fulfilled in your life, are you still there? Because he is still here. It's not the kind of presence that comes and goes with emotions. It's not fragile like the things you've already known. It's not like the broken promises you've already heard, nor like the smiles that hid abandonment. It's not like the words spoken by those who didn't stay. He stays. You may be trying to understand what's happening now, but you don't need to understand everything to know that it's real. You feel it. You feel it in a way you don't even know how to explain. It's as if something is tightening, but at the same time, freeing. As if something you don't even remember anymore is being called out. Exposed not to be punished, but to be restored. Do you know why? Because the Holy Spirit doesn't just touch. He invades. He invades the parts of you that you preferred to forget. He invades what you locked behind smiles and strength. What you used to convince others that everything was okay. But he sees. And he is there now. He is looking at you in a way that no one has ever looked. Not with judgment, not with pity, not with haste, but with a patience so full of love that you can barely sustain that look. Because you've never been looked at like that before. With truth, with real compassion, with a desire to remain. He doesn't want you to get ready to receive. He wants you to allow yourself to be undone. Do you hear that? It's not about being strong. It's about being real. You've tried to hide. You've tried to push it to later. You've told yourself that later I'll take care of it, as if later were a safe place where pain obeyed command. But today is the day that heaven decided to stir in that later and bring to light what was already suffocating. You can try to resist. You can try to harden again. You can try to continue disguising. But you know that something has already been touched. Something has already been accessed. And there's no going back. Because where he touches, he transforms. You're so close now. So close to experiencing a freedom that you never dared to believe. But that freedom doesn't come without cost. It requires something. Surrender. Are you willing to give up everything you've been holding? The fears you disguised with courage? The disappointments you pushed to the bottom of your chest? The traumas that shaped who you became? You need to understand this. The Holy Spirit will not share space with what you insist on hiding. Either he enters completely, or he doesn't enter. He doesn't accept crumbs. He doesn't accept limited spaces. He is the fullness. He is the totality. He is the everything that fills the nothing. Can you open? Really, can you? Because if you open, you'll never be the same. Never again. There are tears that have been inside for years, waiting for a safe place to run. There are words you've never been able to say. There are memories that still squeeze your chest, even when everything seems calm. And he knows each one. He was there when you were hurt, when you were left, when they said you weren't enough, when you believed you could never start over. He saw. But now he's not just seeing anymore. He's touching. He's healing. You need to stop running. You need to stop running. You need to stop acting like none of this is happening. Because it is. You know it is. The heart beats differently. The breathing weighs. The eyes fill. The body trembles. Not out of fear, but because his presence is touching your essence. It's not about what you show anymore. It's about who you are. And he loves who you are, not who you're trying to be, not who others expect you to be. But this you, now, fragile, vulnerable, confused. It's for this one that he came. It's for this one that he waits. It's for this one that he pours out the Spirit. Are you feeling it? Are you really feeling it? It's as if everything makes sense, even without any explanation. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't just speak with words. He speaks with presence. And when he is, everything changes. Do you remember when you still had hope? When you believed strongly, with innocence, with that kind of faith that doesn't need proof? Do you remember when everything seemed possible? He wants to bring that back, but not in a shallow way. He wants to make that born again inside you, with roots, with truth, with presence. But for that, you need to give up everything, everything, even what you don't want to let go of, even what you think you still need, even what you think protects you. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't force. He waits, but he waits for everything. He doesn't just want to enter, he wants to remain. Can you say, I don't understand, but I accept? Because faith begins there, in surrender, in total surrender. You've tried to maintain control for so long, and look where it brought you. Weariness, emptiness, isolation. What he offers is different. He offers rest. You don't have to pretend anymore. You can collapse now. You can let everything fall. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to lift you up, not in a hurry, not with pressure, but with tenderness, with truth, with presence. Are you still resisting? Still? Look inside. Look at that place that was touched right now. Do you feel the breathing different? The warmth in the chest? The silence that screams? That is his presence. And you don't need to run anymore. You can stay. You can stay and be whole. You can stay and be sincere. You can stay and be healed. The Holy Spirit, he doesn't visit by chance. When he comes with a purpose, and he came for you. You're not here by chance. You're not reading this by mistake. Heaven scheduled this meeting. And now everything is before you. Everything. You can choose. Either go back to what it always was, or enter what you never imagined. But one thing you already know. After this touch, there's no way to continue the same. There's no way. You can try, you can pretend. But something was marked, something was activated, and he will continue calling, 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 until you say yes, a whole yes, without a mask, without conditions, without excuses. Just a yes. Can you? Close your eyes. Breathe. Say with your heart, enter. Make everything new. I don't run anymore. I'm here. All mine. All yours. And then, let him do it. He will rewrite what you thought was the end. He will restore what you thought was lost. He will revive what you had already buried. Because that's what he does. He is the breath that raises dry bones. He is the breeze that calms the chaos. He is the fire that consumes what no longer serves. He is the water that cleans everything you tried to erase. Do you still feel it? The presence continues there, stronger, more intense, more real, and you are no longer the same. Never will be. Because where he touches, he transforms. And he touched you. Write in the comments, God, I adore you. If the desire of your heart is to praise and magnify his name, Still breathing? Do you still feel that sweet weight hovering over everything as if time had stopped, as if the world outside had disappeared for an instant? Everything is quiet and, at the same time, so alive. Because when he touches, even the silence speaks. You know, there are moments when words don't reach. There are places inside you that no advice has ever entered. And it's in those places, in those almost secret spaces, that the Holy Spirit enters without asking permission, but with a love so deep that you can't resist. You don't need to resist anymore. You don't need to keep holding what no longer fits inside. You feel that, don't you? It's as if someone had opened a window inside your chest, and for a second, everything seems clear. Everything seems possible. Everything seems new. That's him. And he's not here to excite. He's here to transform. Transform with patience, with depth, with truth. Because what he wants to do in you is not momentary. It's not one of those passing touches that shine and then disappear. He came to stay. And when he stays, he begins to work in the places you thought were sealed. You don't find it strange how some voids inside you have resisted everything? You've tried to fill them with achievements, with praise, with performance, with acceptance, with control, and nothing worked. Because there's only one place where the soul finds rest. Only one. And it's not in a logical answer. It's in presence. Presence. You may have memorized the most beautiful prayers. You may have heard the most powerful sermons. You may have even done everything right, followed every step, obeyed everything they said. And still, feel that emptiness that doesn't go away, because that emptiness has only one name, Holy Spirit. That's why it's hurting. That's why no achievement completes you. No person fills you. No future satisfies you. Because you were made for this presence. You know it, as much as you've tried to forget. And now it's all so clear. It's all so close, as if something inside you is being awakened. Can you perceive it? That ancient memory that there's more, that it wasn't meant to be just this. That whisper that says you're not trapped, that you can leave the place where you closed yourself off, that you can still be whole. It's him. He's calling you back to the beginning. Not to the place where everything went wrong, but to the place where everything can start again. Are you willing? Willing to let everything that's false fall to the ground? Willing to abandon pride, fear, the facade? Willing to face the pain, to finally be healed? Because the Holy Spirit doesn't work with the surface. He goes deep, and deep hurts. But it's a pain that heals, a pain that frees, a pain that tears the chains from the inside out. Do you know what it's like to live chained and appear free? Do you know what it's like to smile and be trapped? To walk among everyone, but not be able to move inside? That invisible prison that no one sees, but that prevents you from living. That's what he's stirring up now. That's what he came to break. But you need to allow it. Allowing isn't saying pretty words. It's making space. It's saying, I can't sustain this anymore. Take it. Take the pain I silenced. Take the fear I disguised. Take the control that suffocates me. Take everything. Everything. Can you do that now? You don't need to understand. You just need to surrender. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't act when you understand. He acts when you surrender. Do you feel that warmth rising inside? That urge to cry without knowing why? That peace that scares you? Because you forgot what it was like to live in peace? He's healing. Healing what no one saw. Healing what you hid even from yourself. Healing that part of you that believed it wasn't loved, that it wasn't enough, that it always needed to prove something, to be accepted, to be loved, to be worthy. Enough of that. Enough. The Holy Spirit is saying that you don't need to fight for love anymore. You don't need to compete for a place anymore. You don't need to justify yourself anymore. You are seen. You are desired. You are accepted. Just like that. As you are, with the cracks, the flaws, the fears, just like that. That's where he starts. You need to stop trying to be whole before coming to him. It doesn't work that way. You come broken, and he rebuilds. But not like before, not the same as it was. He makes it new. And when he makes it new, even the scars shine. Even the memories hurt differently. Even the crying changes its sound. Can you feel it? It's happening. Now. You won't leave this moment the same. There's no way. Not after this touch. Because he doesn't just console, he resurrects. Resurrects what you buried alive, resurrects the faith you left behind, resurrects the courage that fell asleep, resurrects the joy you disbelieved. You thought you would never dream again. You thought life had dried up inside. But he came to bring life, life again. Not a perfect life, but a life with him, with presence, with meaning, with truth. Do you still feel that presence? It's growing. Like a river that starts small, but doesn't stop expanding. That river is flooding everything inside you. And it's not to drown, it's to cleanse, to wash, to free. Are you ready to let go? Let go of the past? Let go of control? Let go of the walls you built? Let go of the image you created to protect yourself? Because the Holy Spirit doesn't build on top of a facade. He tears it down first. Tears it down with love. Tears it down with presence. Tears it down with fire. And then he plants something new. Can you feel that new thing being born? It's still small, it's still subtle, but it's already there. You know that something has begun, and there's no turning back. You crossed an invisible place, from where there is no return, and that's just the beginning. You're not alone anymore. You'll never be again, because he is in you. Write in the comments, God is my peace. If you feel that only in him your soul finds rest. Do you realize what's happening? Because something has already moved. You really know. What was broken inside you is no longer bleeding. It is remaking itself. Not with the fragile glue that you tried to use so many times, but with an invisible thread of glory. With hands that work in silence, that don't need your haste, that don't mind your mess. He came in. He came in, and now he's not leaving. Do you know why? Because he doesn't come in for a stroll. He comes in to dwell. And when the Holy Spirit takes up residence, things begin to unravel. Everything that was appearance, everything that was weight, everything that was noise. He comes and begins to cleanse, to expose, to bring to the surface, but not to embarrass you, to heal, to liberate, to uproot the rotten roots that held you in the wrong place for so long. Did you feel it? When that weight came off your shoulders, did you feel it? When the tear fell without asking permission, did you feel it? It's real. And as much as the mind tries to doubt, as much as the memories try to pull you back to that old narrative, you already know. You have already been touched. You have already been marked. And there is no going back to the same emptiness with the same look. Now everything is different because you have met him. And what is known can no longer be undone. That presence, that spirit, he is molding you again. And it's not an improved version. It is a new creation, totally new, like clay on the potter's wheel. He is spinning you. He is remaking you. He is transforming you. And you are allowing it. You are feeling it. You are surrendering. It's not the same voice that speaks inside you now, the one that accused, that blamed, that compared. It is quieting down, little by little, because the voice of the Spirit is taking up space. It's taking volume. It's gaining authority within you. And you are starting to listen, to really listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, with your gut, with your memories. Do you hear? He is saying, I never left you. He is not saying that you did not make mistakes. He is saying that even in your mistakes, he stayed. Even when you gave up on everything, including your own faith, he did not turn away. You may not have felt it, but he was there. When you fell, when you screamed in the dark, when no one answered, he heard, and he leaned in. And now he is manifesting, revealing himself. And this is not a shiver. This is not an emotion. This is heaven touching earth within you. A heaven that needs no words. A heaven that bends over those who cry out in silence. A heaven that reveals itself to the broken. You are one of those. You know you are. And that is why he chose this moment. Because you are ready. Not because you have achieved something, but because you have finally stopped trying to achieve. Finally surrendered. Finally said, I can't do it alone. And heaven answered. Heaven answered with fire, with silence, with presence, with healing, with a fresh start. You no longer need to carry that weight, nor live trying to prove that you are strong, nor fight against the pains alone. nor pretend that everything is okay when it is not. Now you have something real, someone real, and this reality will change everything. The Holy Spirit is not a detail on the journey. He is the path itself, and He is leading you. Can you see that? Even without knowing what lies ahead, you are no longer afraid. Can you see that? Even without seeing the answers, you already feel peace. That's what presence does. It comes in and changes the environment inside. It comes in and brings order in the midst of chaos. It comes in and rewrites the thoughts that tied you down. You are no longer trapped, even if everything outside seems the same, because inside, something was born. And what is born of Him carries eternity. Do you feel that lighter breathing? That desire to spend more time in silence, just listening, just feeling, just being? It's because He's talking. And all you need now is to listen. Listen with the Spirit. Listen with brokenness. Listen with thirst. Because He has more, much more. And the more space you give, the more He reveals. The more He fills, the more He heals. You are not just living a beautiful moment. You are being reformed. The Holy Spirit is turning over the dry earth within you and planting something new, something that will grow with tears, something that will blossom with truth, something that will withstand time. Because He does nothing to die later. He does to remain. And you were chosen to carry this. Do you feel the weight of this? It's not a weight that oppresses. It's a weight that sanctifies, a weight that separates, a weight that says, you are no longer common. Something has changed. Something has been activated. And even if you try to go back, it no longer fits in what it was. What used to serve no longer serves. What seemed to work no longer fits. Because now you know. And whoever knows the Holy Spirit is never the same again. You are beginning to walk with a different posture, with a different mind, with a different heart, and He will guide every step. You no longer need to run. You no longer need to hide. You no longer need to wait for something external. He has already come. He is here, and He will remain, even when you fail, even when fear wants to return, even when doubt tries to scream. He will continue, because He knows you. He knows you better than you know yourself, and still chose to stay, chose to fill, chose to transform. Do you still feel it? That warmth, that peace, that light? It will not go away. It will grow, and you will be the dwelling of the Holy Spirit. It's just the beginning, but it's the beginning of everything. Write in the comments, God is love, if you have already experienced His infinite care, and you're still there, didn't leave, didn't run away, didn't turn it off. Do you know why? Because something inside you knows, and always knew, that all of this is true. There is a call that can no longer be silenced, a cry that comes from a deep place, so deep that you may not have even known existed until now. A secret space that was kept under pain, frustrations, pressures, failed attempts, and the Holy Spirit entered there, without warning, without asking permission, just came in. And when He comes in, He doesn't ask, can I clean this? He just cleans. He doesn't wait for you to explain the mess, nor does He demand that you organize everything before. He just acts. He just loves. He just remakes. Do you realize how disconcerting His love is? You tried to understand, tried to reason, tried to convince yourself that all of this was perhaps exaggeration, illusion, emotion, but deep down, you knew. It's not exaggeration. It's true. It's reality more real than everything you can touch with your hands. That love that you are feeling now, that warmth, that tenderness, that absurd peace in the midst of chaos, has no human explanation. That is the Holy Spirit saying, I am here, I have always been, I will not leave. And you are starting to believe again. Even without understanding everything, even still with doubts, even with scars that haven't even closed completely. But now, something has been lit. And when He lights it, nothing else can put it out. You tried so many times to put out this fire, to drown this desire, to bury this longing, to put something else in its place. But there was always that echo, that sigh, that space, that only He could fill. You came this far, because you were tired. Tired of being too strong. Tired of appearing a stability that did not exist. Tired of keeping everything under control while your heart sank. Tired of being surrounded by people and still feeling the emptiness. And now, all that remained was surrender. And the moment you surrendered, that's when he came in. Not with thunder, not with spectacle, not with weight, but with glory. Invisible glory that transforms. Glory that does not depend on environment, on music, on crowd. Glory that enters the dark room, on the cloudy day, in the tired body. You thought the Holy Spirit was something distant, perhaps a mystery for the spiritual, but now, you know, he is as close as the air, as intense as the pain you felt, as real as the silence that embraced you so many times. And he wants more. Do you feel that? It's not over. It's not just a touch. It's an invitation. He wants more from you. And no, not in the sense of demand, not in the sense of do more, but in the sense of surrender more. Surrender more the defenses. Surrender more the fears. Surrender more the spaces you reserved just for yourself, because he wants everything, not to dominate you, but to free you. Do you understand that? His dominion is freedom. When he enters completely, you don't lose identity. You find it. When he takes over, you don't disappear. You reveal yourself, because that's what the Holy Spirit does. He reveals who you really are, who you always were in his eyes, even when no one saw, even when they tried to silence your voice, extinguish your shine, reduce you to pieces. He saw everything and still said, "That one is mine." That is why he is calling you now to a deeper place, more intimate, more real. Are you willing to go deeper? Are you willing not to return to the surface? Because up there everything seems stable, beautiful, predictable. But it is in the depths that the treasures are found. It is in the deep that he whispers secrets. It is in the deep that the fire burns without burning. Do you want to live that? Can you say, "I don't want to live on appearances anymore"? Can you stop chasing answers and start simply walking with him, even without understanding? Because when you walk with the Spirit, the path is revealed, the future is aligned, the soul is calmed, the direction comes. You no longer need to run. You no longer need to fight against time, against fears, against pain. You can just walk with him, just that, one step, then another, in presence, in surrender, in truth. And that is enough. You don't need another strategy. You need presence. And presence is here, now, inside, filling, healing, molding, transforming. And you can feel it growing. It's no longer just a moment. It's a reality. You have been visited. You have been invaded. And now you are being inhabited. And you feel it. It's a peace that no longer needs explanation. It's a certainty that comes without proof. It's a love that no longer asks for justification. You can stop fighting. You can breathe. You can rest. The Holy Spirit has taken control, and you are being guided, one day at a time, one yes at a time, but with the certainty that now you are at the center of his will. You are in the right place. You are with him, and he is with you. Write in the comments, "I believe in God." If you believe he can perform miracles in your life, you know what's stronger than everything you felt so far? It's what's coming. Because when the Holy Spirit starts something, he finishes it. And he has started. He started at the very moment you stopped resisting. When you let go. When you allowed your eyes to fill without apologizing. When you stopped holding back the trembling in your hands, the weight in your chest, the choked voice. When you finally said, even without words, "Take me." And he is taking you. He is taking everything that no longer belongs, everything that hurts, suffocates, blocks. But more than that, he is taking you away from the dry places, away from the noisy distractions, away from the applause that feeds but never satisfies, away from the fears disguised as plans. He is leading you to a place you have never seen, a place where there is no noise, where the soul finally rests, where peace is not an interval between wars, but a permanent reality. That place is within him, inside, not outside. You no longer need to search outside. It's all here, now, in you, and He will continue. Because what the Holy Spirit starts, He continues. Even when you feel weak, even when you can't pray, even when it seems like everything around you is standing still, He continues. Because the work is not yours, it's His, and He doesn't leave unfinished what He decides to touch. You are being molded, transformed, refined, and not out of obligation, but because now you want to, you desire to, you cry out to. Do you feel this hunger, this thirst, as if nothing else is enough, as if everything the world offers suddenly loses its flavor? It's because you have tasted, and whoever tastes of His presence can no longer live without it. It becomes the air. It becomes the center. It becomes everything. The Holy Spirit is reorganizing what you believed was lost. That area you thought was beyond repair. That place you thought would never be touched again. He is there now. Now. And you are feeling it. You are feeling the warmth of the presence that doesn't demand, only invites. That doesn't invade, but envelops. That doesn't accuse, but transforms. You are being transformed, not by the words you heard, but by who entered. You know that you are not the same anymore. You know, even without understanding, even without being able to explain it to anyone, even if you don't know how to put it into words, you are no longer the same, because something inside you has broken, and that is a miracle. The breaking that the Holy Spirit causes is the only one that builds. It's the only one that doesn't hurt to wound, but to heal. He breaks pride. He breaks fear. He breaks the "I can handle it," and then He enters, with lightness, with truth, with glory. Do you feel it in your whole body now? That warmth that is not a fever, that desire to stay where you are, that impression that time has disappeared. It's Him. And He doesn't just want occasional visits. He wants a home, you being His dwelling place, you being a living temple, you being a place of habitation. That's why He is calling you to live differently. No longer by force, no longer by fear, no longer by obligation, but by presence. You know there is more. You know you were born for more. And that's why you came this far. That's why you felt what you felt. That's why your eyes are watering now. Because the truth hit, the presence touched, eternity entered. And when the eternal touches what is temporary, everything changes. The Holy Spirit is teaching you something new, something that can't be learned in a book, something that can't be acquired with techniques, something that comes only from surrender, that surrender that you thought was impossible, but that now has become natural. Because when real love invades, the soul lowers its weapons. You lowered them. You stopped fighting against it, and now you are being carried, and He will take you where you never imagined you would be. Not in visibility, not in fame, not in recognition, but in depth, in communion, in truth. You will be remembered for carrying the presence, not for making noise, but for carrying fire, because the Holy Spirit is fire, but it doesn't burn to destroy, it burns to purify. And you are burning now. You are burning inside. You are being purified. Have you realized that there is no turning back? That the you from before no longer exists? Because now there is a living voice inside you, and that voice will guide, it will alert, it will console, it will correct, it will call. That voice is the Spirit's, and you are learning to listen in the silence, in the ordinary day, in the simple gesture, in the calm breath, in the tear that has no reason. He speaks. He always speaks. And now you are hearing. Because something in you has been unlocked. Something has opened. And now it doesn't close anymore. This is the beginning. And the most important beginning is not the one that starts with promises. It's the one that starts with presence. You are no longer alone. You will never be again. You will never be the same because He is in you, and you are His. Write in the comments, God is my guide. If you trust that He directs all your steps, and even now, while everything around you may seem the same, you know that it is not. Something has broken through. Something has been torn inside. You are seeing with different eyes. You are feeling with another sensitivity. What was opaque now seems clearer. What was once dry now pulsates with life. You can no longer deny it. You can no longer pretend. You can't go back to the same place with a heart already transformed. You have been found. Not by an idea, not by a feeling, but by a person, the Holy Spirit. He surrounded you with grace. And when grace surrounds, even the shadows must be silent. Even accusation loses its sound. Even traumas become small in the face of the immensity of this love. This love didn't come in a hurry. It waited the necessary time. It waited for you to get tired of trying to solve everything. It waited for you to face the mirror and say, I don't know how to continue anymore. And it was there, at that exact point where many give up, that he approached. He always does that. He arrives where others retreat. He stays where everything seems dark. He speaks when no one else knows what to say. He doesn't come to the surface, he dives in. And you allowed that dive. You let him cross the walls. You let him touch the wounds open for years. You let him breathe on what you had already given up for dead. And what seemed lost responded. Hope responded. Faith responded. Sensitivity responded. You are more sensitive now, more attentive, more open. Do you know why? Because you met him. You met that invisible touch that carries eternal weight. And whoever meets the Holy Spirit can never live the same way again. You are being called to remain, not just feel for a moment, but live with him, walk with him, decide with him, breathe with him. That's what changes everything. Constant presence, not something that visits in high moments, but something that lives inside. You are thirsty for that, thirsty for truth, thirsty for depth, thirsty for something that can't be taken away. And that's what he gave you today. An eternal portion. You have felt so many voids. You have gone through so many cycles. You have started so many restarts. You have made so many internal promises. Now it will change. And at some point, everything collapsed again. But now it no longer depends on you. Now it's his. Because you surrendered. You truly surrendered. With everything you have. With everything you are. Without knowing what would come, but certain that you could no longer continue alone. And that is the starting point, the point that heaven was waiting for. You are not in a process of improvement. You are in a process of rebirth, not a retouch, a reconstruction, piece by piece, not to look better in someone's eyes, but to be whole in his presence, whole in tears, whole in confession, whole in surrender, whole in dependence. The Holy Spirit will teach you to walk without anxiety, to obey without fear, to love without protecting yourself, to believe even when you don't see, to wait even when everything seems still. He will teach you to stop running to the wrong places. He will teach you to live with your feet on the ground and your heart on high. He will remind you every day that you have not been forgotten, that you are not invisible, that you have not been left behind, that there is purpose even in what you don't understand. And even now, in this silence, in this whisper that hovers between each beat of your heart, he is saying, I am still here. He never leaves. Even when you get confused, even when you stumble, even when you scream inside and no one answers. He continues. That's what his love does. It remains. You can rest in that. Truly rest. Not that rest that unravels at the first demand, at the first look of judgment, at the first unmet expectation, but the rest that comes from the certainty you are accepted, you are known, you are loved, completely. You can stop fighting against who you are. You can stop trying to look stronger than you feel. You can be real. You can be vulnerable. You can be light, because the Holy Spirit is surrounding you with that love now, love that embraces without squeezing, love that calms without needing to speak, love that doesn't demand, it only transforms. You have already begun to be transformed, and that will continue. Day after day, whisper after whisper, cry after cry, he will remain, and everything that is contrary to that presence will fall. It will lose its place. It will be expelled by the simple fact that now you carry light, and where there is light, darkness cannot resist. You are being led to this new time, a time where the burden will be light, where grace will be sufficient, where his voice will be louder than any external noise. You will begin to feel in your body when your soul is overburdened. You will learn to stop. You will learn to breathe. You will learn to listen, and He will be there in every step. You will never walk alone again. You will never fight the same way again. You will never depend on recognition again, because now you have met Him. The glory, the grace, the truth, the presence. Do you still feel it? Do you feel as if the atmosphere has been turned upside down? As if a wind has passed inside you and carried away the rubble? That is the sign. Something has been done. Something has been sealed. Something has been marked. And no one can take that away. No one. Not the circumstances, not the past mistakes, not the fears that try to return, not the noises of the mind. You are under Him now, and His shadow heals, protects, sustains, aligns. You are being aligned, not by effort, but by presence. You have that presence now, inside, and the world outside can continue as it always has been. But you are no longer the same. You will never be again, because the Holy Spirit entered and made His home. Write in the comments, God is my salvation, if you recognize that only in Him is your redemption. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Want to delve even deeper into faith and prayer? Download our exclusive ebook on how to strengthen your spirituality in today's world. The link is in the comments below. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our community of faith. If you want to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your spiritual search and growth in faith. Thank you, and may God bless you all. See you later.